The stars were calm that night, or at least they looked calm. The dark sea of space hid many secrets, and one of them was moving slowly through the shadow of a dying star. The Eternal Blade, a human cargo ship, drifted silently, its engines burning low to avoid detection. Inside, the crew worked in quiet focus. They were carrying something important, something the enemy would kill to get. Captain Reyes stood at the bridge window, staring into the black. He had seen many battles, lost too many friends, and he knew this silence was never a good sign. Silence meant someone was watching. "Power level stable," said Ensign Mara, her voice small in the large metal room. "But our scanners are picking up strange readings, sir. Could be interference from the nebula." Reyes didn't answer. He just nodded slowly. His instincts screamed danger. The old soldier's gut was never wrong. Outside, hidden among asteroid shadows, 6 alien warships waited. The Varkith, a race known for their love of ambush and cruelty, had been tracking the Eternal Blade for days. Their commander, a scarred creature named Vorik 10, smiled with sharp teeth as he watched the human ship through his targeting feed. "Humans," he hissed. "Always proud, always loud. They think they own this space. But tonight, we take their prize, and their lives." His second officer grunted. "Sir, they are alone. No escorts. No defense fleet nearby." Vorik 10's smile widened. "Perfect. Prepare to strike." The Varkith ships moved like shadows, their stealth drives humming softly. In seconds, they surrounded the human vessel. Inside, alarms blared across the Eternal Blade. "Multiple contacts," shouted Mara. "They came out of nowhere. Red alert." Reyes barked. "All stations, battle positions." The quiet ship turned alive. Lights flashed red. Doors sealed. Weapons powered up. The hum of the railguns filled the air. But Reyes knew, they were outnumbered 6-1. Still, he didn't panic. He just gave a small smile. Right on time. The first Varkith ship opened fire, blue plasma tearing across space. It hit the Eternal Blade's hull, shaking the ship violently. Sparks rained from the ceiling. But Reyes stood firm. "Return fire," he said calmly. The human ship fired back, not wildly, but with precision. The shots hit exactly where they needed to. One of the alien ships lost its shield and spun off course, smoke trailing behind. Vorik 10 snarled. "They fight like cornered beasts. Finish them." All 6 ships fired together now, lighting up the void. The Eternal Blade groaned under the pressure. Inside, oxygen alarms screamed, and the hull began to crack. Mara turned to Reyes. "Captain, we can't hold them much longer." Reyes didn't answer immediately. He stared at the tactical screen, then at the blinking timer in the corner. The countdown had reached 0. "Hold on," he said quietly. Suddenly, every nearby asteroid, the same ones the Eternal Blade had passed earlier, came alive. Hidden within the rocks, dozens of human stealth drones powered up, their red eyes glowing. From the darkness, they opened fire. A storm of missiles and railgun bursts tore through the ambushers. 2 Varkith ships exploded instantly, one breaking into burning fragments. The others tried to maneuver, but more drones emerged from the shadows, surrounding them completely. "What is this?" roared Vorik 10, slamming his claws into the console. Reyes' voice echoed through the comms. "You wanted a hunt? You got one." The trap had been perfect. The Eternal Blade wasn't just bait, it was the center of a hidden human defense grid. Every asteroid in the sector was part of a massive ambush plan designed weeks before. The humans hadn't been caught off guard. They had been waiting. Vorik 10's crew panicked. "Shields failing. We're surrounded." "Retreat," he shouted, but it was too late. One of the drones attached itself to his ship's hull, drilling deep before detonating. The explosion ripped through the command bridge. Inside the Eternal Blade, Mara gasped as enemy signals vanished from the radar one by one. "Targets neutralized," she said softly. Reyes finally exhaled. "Good." Retrieve all drone units and send the message to command. Operation Phantom Net was a success. Mara looked at him in surprise. Sir, did you know they would come? Reyes turned to face her, his eyes cold but calm. The Varkith always come when they smell weakness. Sometimes, you just have to let them believe the lie. The lights dimmed as the ship powered down its battle mode. The crew began repair work, patching the scars of war. Outside, the stars burned silently again, but now, pieces of alien metal floated among them, drifting like dead fish in a vast cosmic sea. The humans had won, this time. But somewhere far away, in the black core of the Varkith Dominion, others were already preparing their revenge. Reyes didn't know it yet, but this victory was just the beginning. Because humans were no longer hiding. They were hunting. The wreckage of the Varkith ships still floated in space like frozen ghosts. The Eternal Blade moved slowly through the remains, silent except for the low hum of engines. Inside, the crew worked in half-light, repairing the damage from the ambush. Captain Reyes sat alone in his ready room. The soft glow from the holoscreen painted his tired face blue. Lines of mission data scrolled across, reports, drone losses, intercepted transmissions. Every word told the same story. The Varkith knew too much. He took a slow breath. Something didn't fit. The aliens had found them too easily. The trap had worked, yes, but what if the trap had been expected? Captain, Mara's voice came through the intercom. We finished collecting the drones. No survivors from the enemy. But sir, we found something else. Reyes stood. I'll be right there. On the hangar deck, several crew members gathered around a burnt piece of alien hull. The metal shimmered with faint green light, not normal energy, something older, deeper. What is that? Reyes asked. Lieutenant Garvey frowned. We think it's a beacon. But not Varkith tech. It's broadcasting on a frequency we can't trace. Mara added quietly. It was attached inside one of our drones, sir. Reyes froze. The silence grew heavy. You're saying someone planted it before the mission? Garvey nodded. Looks that way. The captain's jaw tightened. If the enemy knew about the drones before the ambush, it meant someone had leaked information, someone close. Before he could respond, the ship's alarm wailed again. Red lights flared across the hangar. Bridge to Captain Reyes, came a voice over comms. New contacts, jumping in from hyperspace. Reyes sprinted for the lift. The doors slid open to the bridge, where chaos filled the air. On the tactical screen, 3 large ships appeared. Bigger, stronger, faster than the ones they'd just destroyed. Mara's face went pale. Varkith War cruisers, sir. Heavy class. Reyes' eyes narrowed. So the real hunters arrive. The Eternal Blade was still wounded, shields at half strength, weapons overheated. Fighting 3 cruisers was suicide. But running was impossible too, the warp drives were cooling. Status on our drones? Most recovered, sir. But some are still active in the field, Garvey said. Good, Reyes said, a plan forming in his mind. Let's give our guests another surprise. Outside, the Varkith fleet began to spread out. Their lead ship opened a wideband transmission. This is Commander Zoreth of the Varkith Dominion, the alien voice growled through the speakers. You destroyed my brother's fleet. You will surrender your ship and cargo immediately. Reyes smiled thinly. Zoreth, I assume your brother was Vorik 10? A pause. Then the alien hissed. You know his name. Then you know what happens next. Yeah, Reyes said softly. I do. He cut the channel. Mara, power up the drones. Program them to follow my coordinates. Garvey, reroute all reactor output to forward shields. Mara hesitated. Sir, that'll leave our rear exposed. Reyes looked out the viewport. That's the point. The Varkith cruisers closed in, weapons glowing. Their energy blasts struck hard, shaking the human ship. Panels burst, Smoke filled the bridge, but the front shields held. "Keep firing," Reyes ordered. The eternal blade shot back, not to destroy but to draw attention. Every blast, every move, it looked desperate, chaotic. The aliens advanced, confident in their strength. Then, suddenly, Reyes shouted, "Now!" From the black, the remaining drones reappeared, dozens of them, moving fast from behind the enemy fleet. But this time, they weren't firing. Each drone carried a small dark capsule, magnetic and silent. They attached themselves to the cruiser's hulls. Inside the lead Varkith ship, alarms screamed. Multiple unknown contacts on the outer hull. Zoratha's eyes widened. "Remove them. Quickly." "Too late." Reyes whispered, "Detonate." The dark capsules exploded, not with fire, but with light. Electromagnetic bursts fried the alien ship systems. Shields collapsed. Weapons powered down. The Varkith fleet was blind, floating helplessly in the dark. Reyes stood still, watching the radar. "Target engines. No kills. Disable them only." Within minutes, all three cruisers were drifting, powerless. The trap had worked again, a second time, in the same battlefield. Mara turned from her console, eyes wide. "We did it. Again." Reyes didn't smile. "No," he said softly. "This wasn't victory. This was a warning." He walked to the window, staring at the silent enemy ships. They came too fast, too soon. Someone told them exactly where we'd be. Garvey frowned. "A spy." Reyes nodded slowly. "Or something worse." He looked back at the flickering beacon they had found earlier. The strange green light pulsed once, then again. And then, without warning, every console on the bridge flashed red. "Sir!" Mara shouted. "The beacon just activated. It's sending coordinates." "To where?" Reyes asked. Her voice shook. "To Earth, sir." The bridge fell silent. No one moved. Reyes' eyes turned cold as stone. "Cut the transmission. Now." Mara's hands flew over the controls, but the signal kept pulsing. "I can't stop it." The green light grew brighter, faster, until it filled the room with an eerie glow. Reyes clenched his fists. They wanted this trap. They wanted us distracted. The realization hit him hard. The ambush wasn't about them, it was about finding home. Outside, the silent Varkith cruisers began to power up again, but this time, it wasn't their own systems. Something inside them was waking up. Something not of the Varkith. Reyes whispered, "What have we brought here?" The stars outside flickered, and for a brief second, a dark shape passed between them, larger than anything human or alien had ever built. Something was coming. The bridge of the Eternal Blade was silent except for the faint hum of damaged systems. The green light from the alien beacon still pulsed across the floor, casting long shadows on the crew's faces. No one spoke. No one dared to. Outside the viewport, the stars themselves seemed to bend, as if space was breathing. Then, slowly, something began to take shape. A dark object emerged from the void, enormous and silent. It wasn't like any ship Reyes had ever seen. It didn't move with engines. It drifted, like a predator gliding through deep water. Mara whispered, "What is that?" The scanners crackled, then went dark. "No readings," Garvey said, slamming the console. "Our sensors can't identify it. It's absorbing the signal." Reyes leaned forward. "Put it on full visual." The image sharpened, and the crew gasped. The object looked like a ship, but its surface was alive. Strange black metal shifted like liquid, crawling in patterns. At its center, a bright sphere pulsed with blue-white energy, the same energy that came from the beacon they'd found. "That's impossible," Mara whispered. "No known species builds like that." Reyes' eyes narrowed. Maybe it wasn't built. Before anyone could reply, the three disabled Varkith cruisers suddenly powered up again. Their lights turned blood red. One by one, they rotated their guns, not toward the humans, but toward each other. The crew watched in horror as the alien ships fired, tearing themselves apart in silent explosions. "What the hell?" Garvey started. "Stop recording," Reyes said sharply. "Whatever that thing is, it's controlling them." The dark object began to move again, slowly, gracefully, directly toward the eternal blade. "Back us away, now," Reyes ordered. Engines roared, but the ship barely moved. Then, the lights flickered. Power drained across all decks. Systems shut down one by one. "It's interfering with our core," Mara shouted. "We're losing everything." Reyes grabbed the emergency lever. Switched to manual control. The ship jerked violently, spinning off course. In the chaos, the beacon on the floor began to crack apart, and from inside it, a small black cloud started to rise. "What is that?" The cloud wasn't smoke. It moved with purpose, forming thin tendrils that touched the air like searching fingers. When it reached the ceiling, it spread like ink in water, forming strange glowing symbols no one could understand. Mara's voice trembled. "Sir, I think it's communicating." The ship's speakers screeched suddenly, then a voice came through, deep, calm, and not entirely human. "Signal confirmed. Biological resistance detected. Observation, humans, adaptive. Dangerous." Reyes' heart froze. "You understand our language?" There was a pause. Then, "We understand all languages. We are the architects. You were not meant to awaken us." Garvey muttered, "Architects? From the old deep space myths." Reyes stared at the dark shape outside. The stories had spoken of them, a civilization older than galaxies, wiped out before recorded history. But if they were real, then humanity was facing something far beyond anything they had ever fought. The voice continued, "Your species grows fast. Too fast. You consume. You expand. You fight. You are infection." Mara whispered, "It's judging us." Reyes stepped forward. "Listen carefully, whoever you are. We don't want war with you." "War?" the voice replied, with something like amusement. "You think you could wage war with us?" The sphere on the massive ship glowed brighter. Every nearby wreck, Varkith or human drone, began to melt, breaking apart into particles that streamed toward the sphere like rivers of metal. "It's absorbing the debris," Garvey said. "Using it to grow." Reyes clenched his fists. "Weapons online?" "Only one railgun operational, sir," Mara said. "Barely enough to scratch it." "Then scratch it," Reyes said. The eternal blade fired. The shell hit the creature's surface, exploding in a flash, but when the light cleared, the metal simply healed itself. The voice spoke again, primitive, predictable. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. A beam of light shot from the alien sphere and struck them directly. The hull screamed under the pressure. Sparks exploded across the bridge. "Shields gone," Mara cried. The beam stopped. Silence fell once again. Reyes wiped the blood from his brow. The systems were fried, but somehow they were still alive. The alien ship wasn't trying to destroy them, it was studying them. Then the voice returned, softer this time. "We have seen enough. Humanity will be contained." "Contained," Reyes repeated. The sphere pulsed again. Across the screen, Reyes saw something that made his chest go cold. The stars around them were shifting, slowly vanishing, as if swallowed by darkness. Space itself was closing around them. "It's generating a field," Garvey said in horror. "A containment bubble. They're trapping us here." Reyes turned to his crew. "Get me one drone. Just one that still works." "Sir, what are you?" "Do it." They scrambled. After a few seconds, Mara shouted, "Drone number 37 still operational, external range." Reyes opened a channel to it manually, typing fast. "Send this message to command," he said. "Tell them the architects are real, and they're coming." The drone blinked twice, then shot off into deep space before the field could close. Reyes watched it vanish. The dark shape outside began to glow, brighter and brighter, until it filled every screen. Mara whispered, "Sir, what happens if they trap us?" Reyes stared at the light and said quietly, "Then humanity has to be ready, before they arrive." The light swallowed the ship whole. And then, nothing. Just empty space. But somewhere far away, the human drone carried a message across the stars, a warning that would change the fate of Earth forever. Light returned slowly to the eternal blade. The ship floated in silence, barely alive. Systems flickered on and off, alarms remained stubbornly active, and the crew moved like shadows, shaken but determined. The green glow of the alien beacon was gone, but the sense of being watched never left. Captain Reyes rubbed his eyes and spoke softly, almost to himself. "We survived. But for how long?" Mara approached, her steps cautious. "Sir," the drone delivered the message. "Command confirmed receipt. Earth is aware, but they don't understand the threat yet." Reyes turned, his expression grim. "They won't understand until it's almost too late." The bridge remained tense. Every sensor reading was checked and double-checked. But nothing could reach the void beyond the ship, the void that had swallowed the architect's dark form. Even the remnants of the Varkith fleet had vanished. Garvey muttered, "Captain, what do we even tell them? How do you warn about something you can't fight?" Reyes looked out the viewport. The stars seemed normal again, but he knew it was an illusion. Space had changed around them. "We tell the truth," he said. "The humans need to know they're not alone. And they need to know what's coming." 4 hours, the crew worked. The Eternal Blade was patched enough to move, engines barely holding together. Every system was operating at maximum capacity. Drones were checked and recharged, weapons aligned, and the beacons remained studied. "Captain," Mara said quietly, "we still have fragments of the alien signal. I can try to decode it, but it's unlike anything in our database." Reyes leaned forward. "Do it. If we can understand what they are saying, maybe we can prepare a defense, or at least survive longer." Hours turned into days. The crew slept little, ate less, and stayed alert. They traveled toward the nearest jump point to Earth, hoping to deliver more than just a warning, hoping to give humanity a chance. Finally, Mara spoke again. Her voice was tense, but there was a spark of discovery. "Captain, I think I understand part of it. They're not just studying humans. They're testing us. Every encounter, every ambush, it's part of a trial." Reyes frowned. "A trial? To what end?" "The architects. They want to measure our adaptability, our intelligence, our survival skills. They're judging us, Captain." Reyes swallowed hard. Then the ambush, the Varkith, the beacon. Everything was preparation for this judgment. Mara nodded. "Yes. And they're coming for the rest of humanity. Not now, not yet, but soon." The bridge fell silent again. The weight of that truth settled over the crew like a heavy fog. Then Garvey broke the silence. "So, we warn Earth, get ready, and what? Fight them. There's nothing we know that can match that." Reyes turned slowly, voice calm but deadly serious. "Garvey, humanity has always fought impossible odds. And we survive. We adapt. We win." Outside the viewport, stars streaked past as they entered faster than light travel. For the first time in days, the ship moved freely, heading toward home. But even in the safety of speed, the crew knew it was temporary. Reyes moved to the center of the bridge, hands clasped behind his back. "Prepare a full report for command. Detail every event, the Varkith, the beacon, the architects. No detail is too small. Everyone on Earth needs to know." Mara nodded. "Sir, there's more. I've been tracking the signal the beacon left behind. Even though we destroyed the physical object, a trace of it is still in space, drifting toward Earth." Reyes felt a chill run down his spine. "So even if we warn them, the architects already have a foothold. Yes, Mara said softly. They're patient. They're smart. And they're watching. Reyes paced, thinking. The humans had survived ambushes, near death, and attacks from superior enemies before. But this was different. This wasn't about fighting an enemy of equal strength. This was something ancient, vast, and beyond comprehension. But humanity had one advantage: creativity, ingenuity, the stubborn drive to survive against all odds. Reyes finally stopped pacing and faced his crew. We can't fight them head-on. Not yet. But we can prepare. Every ship, every weapon, every mind will be ready. They think they're testing us, but we're learning faster than they realize. Mara's hands rested on the console. Do you think we'll be ready in time? Reyes looked out into the void. We'll have to be. Because if we're not, there won't be an Earth left to warn. The Eternal Blade moved steadily toward Earth, silent except for the low hum of a ship that had survived impossible odds. Outside, stars shimmered like diamonds, indifferent to the fate of one small planet. But inside, a fire burned. A fire that would not go out. Humans had faced extinction before. They had survived plagues, wars, and countless predators. And now, for the first time in history, the universe itself was testing them. Captain Reyes knew one thing for certain: humanity would answer. Because humans never gave up. And humanity was about to be tested like never before. Earth rotated silently beneath the stars, unaware of the danger creeping through the void. In orbit, the United Earth Space Command headquarters buzzed with unprecedented activity. Communication lines were jammed with frantic reports, military units were mobilizing, and scientists scrambled to understand a signal that defied every law of physics. Admiral Kellen paced across the command bridge, his uniform crisp but his expression tense. "Report," he barked, his voice cutting through the chatter. Lieutenant Rao stepped forward. "Sir, the message from the Eternal Blade has been received and verified. They claim the architects are real, an ancient civilization, far more advanced than anything humanity has ever faced. The signal indicates that they've already tested human forces in deep space." A low murmur spread across the room. "Tested?" Kellen asked, frowning. "Yes, sir," Rao replied. "Varkith ships were involved. But they weren't the real threat. The architects were observing our response to ambushes, to traps, and our ability to survive. They've judged humanity, and are now moving closer to Earth." The Admiral stopped and clenched his fists. "So, they've seen our capabilities, and now we're under scrutiny on a global scale. Mobilize all planetary defenses. Scramble every operational fleet. Prepare a contingency plan, full readiness in 48 hours. The room erupted into activity. Holographic star maps spun in midair, marking jump points, potential entry vectors, and the remnants of Varkith ambush sites. Scientists highlighted unusual energy readings. Engineers calculated warp jump speeds. Every person on the bridge moved with a sense of urgency none had ever experienced. Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth, the Eternal Blade dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Its hull was battered, systems were barely functional, but it carried something far more valuable than cargo: knowledge. Knowledge of an enemy that had already judged them and found humanity adaptable. Captain Reyes stood on the ship's bridge, staring at Earth's blue oceans. Relief flickered in his chest, but it was quickly replaced by determination. "Status?" he asked Mara, who was monitoring external sensors. "All systems stabilized, Captain. We're ready to dock with the orbital station. No threats detected in the near vicinity, for now." Reyes nodded. "Good. Let's get our data to command. Humanity needs to understand what they're up against." As the humans worked to relay information, something unexpected happened. Across the solar system, strange energy fluctuations appeared. Small, dark forms drifted from the edges of the system, moving silently, methodically. They weren't ships. They weren't alive in any known sense. But they were intelligent. Back on the bridge of the Eternal Blade, Mara noticed them first. Captain, multiple unidentified objects entering the solar system. They're moving toward Earth. Not Varkith. Not anything we know. Reyes leaned forward, eyes narrowing. The architects. They're arriving. At Earth Command, Kellen's face turned pale when sensors picked up the same readings. The Admiral didn't hesitate. Activate planetary defense grids. Raise every fleet. Notify the colonies. This is not a drill. By the time humanity realized the true scale of the threat, the Architects' agents, strange dark forms that could bend space itself, had already begun to approach key satellites and orbital stations. Communications were sporadic. Defenses that had never faced such a foe failed instantly. The true battle wasn't in raw firepower. It was a test of ingenuity, coordination, and adaptability. Captain Reyes knew this. Humanity could not fight these beings in a normal way. They had to be smart, fast, and unpredictable. Admiral Kellen, Reyes said as he connected the Eternal Blade's data stream to command, we need to think differently. These aren't conventional invaders. They're calculating, observing. If we act predictably, they'll destroy everything. But if we act like humans, they won't know what to expect. Kellen's brow furrowed. Explain. Reyes' eyes burned with resolve. We've survived ambushes, betrayals, and enemies stronger than us before. The Varkith were just a test. The architects are the real trial. They measure intelligence and adaptability. We fight not just with weapons, but with strategy, ingenuity, and courage. If humanity shows that, we survive. If not. He didn't finish the sentence. They all understood. Failure meant annihilation. Earth's fleets mobilized rapidly, but Reyes knew conventional tactics wouldn't win. Instead, he and his crew coordinated a series of clever traps, diversionary jumps, and feints designed to confuse the architects. Human ingenuity, randomness, and boldness became the new weapons. In orbit, satellites projected decoy signals. Drone swarms simulated human fleets. Deep space stations emitted false energy readings. Everything was a ruse, designed to lure the architects into making mistakes. And from the bridge of the Eternal Blade, Reyes watched the first probes of the architects encounter these deceptions. One by one, the alien scouts faltered, miscalculated, and withdrew. Look at that, Mara whispered. They're hesitating. Reyes smiled faintly. They expected us to act like prey. But we're hunters, too. The first strike had been survived. The first lesson had been learned. But the real test, a full-scale invasion, was coming. And humanity's answer had to be perfect. Because the architects were patient. And they never forgot. The solar system was alive with movement. Fleets of human ships formed defensive rings around Earth, asteroids were converted into fortresses, and every satellite capable of transmitting energy pulses was now weaponized. Humanity had no time to wait. The architects were coming, and the first wave of their probes had already arrived. On the bridge of the Eternal Blade, Captain Reyes monitored the situation. The crew was tense but focused, eyes fixed on the holographic display of incoming enemy formations. They're testing us again, Mara said, her voice tight. The probes are probing, mapping, analyzing every defense pattern. They're learning. Reyes nodded. Good. Let them learn. We'll make sure they learn the wrong thing. Garvey pointed to a cluster of fast-moving black shapes approaching Mars' orbit. Captain, multiple architect drones are entering the system. Their energy readings are off the charts. If they reach Earth, our defenses won't hold for long. Reyes clenched his jaw. Then we make them stop before they get there. Launch the decoy drones. Activate orbital mines around Mars and Jupiter. Force them into unpredictable paths. Outside the viewport, human drones swarmed the probes, weaving through space with impossible precision. Each drone carried a small energy pulse, designed to jam the architect's sensors temporarily. The probes faltered, colliding with false signals, misreading the fleet's positions, and forcing the architects to pause. "Captain, the probes are slowing," Mara reported. "They're hesitating, recalculating their paths." "Exactly what we want," Reyes said calmly. "Make them think they're in control. Let them make mistakes." Meanwhile, across Earth's defense grid, the first counteroffensive plan was in action. Small human strike teams, invisible to the architect's sensors, moved through asteroid fields and jump points, ready to intercept key targets. Every maneuver relied on deception, unpredictability, and rapid adaptation, human strengths that no ancient intelligence could fully anticipate. In orbit, Admiral Kellen watched the holographic display, eyes sharp. "Captain Reyes, your plan is working better than expected. The architect's drones are confused. Some are retreating. Others are engaging false targets." Reyes allowed himself a small smile. "That's humanity for you, Admiral. When they expect obedience, we surprise them." Suddenly, an alert blared on the bridge of the Eternal Blade. A new shape appeared on the sensors, massive, organic-looking, unlike anything human or Varkith. It moved slowly, but its presence distorted the space around it. "They're deploying something bigger," Mara whispered, her voice trembling. "Not bigger, smarter," Reyes corrected. "That's one of their command entities. Everything they've tested so far leads up to this. If this reaches Earth, it won't just observe, it will manipulate everything we've set up." Garvey gritted his teeth. "Then we hit it before it can interfere. Weapons ready." Reyes nodded. "All remaining railguns, missiles, and drones. Target its propulsion fields. Don't try to destroy it, just slow it down." The human fleet surged forward, an orchestrated dance of chaos. Drones zipped past debris, ships twisted and turned in impossible maneuvers, and energy beams flared across space. The architect entity reacted instantly, sending out waves of electromagnetic pulses, disrupting communications and shields. But humans adapted. Shields were rerouted, manual overrides activated, and decoy drones continued their feints. For every pulse the architects emitted, humans found a countermeasure. "Captain," Mara shouted. "We're making contact. The entity is slowing." Reyes watched as their coordinated assault forced the command entity to change course. Every move it made was anticipated by human ingenuity. Every calculation it performed was countered by bold improvisation. For the first time, it hesitated. "Hold the line," Reyes said quietly. "Do not let them think they're winning. Not even for a second." The humans pressed their advantage. The entity's movements became erratic, its control over its probes faltering. Miscalculations spread through the waves of incoming drones. A few of the architect's scouts collided with each other, creating a chain reaction of disruption. "Sir, they're retreating," Mara exclaimed. Reyes didn't relax. "Temporary. They're regrouping. But we've bought Earth time, and that's what matters." Admiral Kellen's voice came through the comms. "Reyes, you've done more than buy time. You've shown that humans are unpredictable. They can't anticipate everything we do. That's exactly what we need against the architects." Reyes nodded grimly. "Then we make the next moves even harder to predict. Humanity fights best when it surprises the universe." Outside the viewport, the black void of space returned to silence. The first wave of the architects had been stalled, confused, and misdirected. Earth was safe, for now. But the larger battle was far from over. And humanity had learned something essential. Against an ancient intelligence, weapons alone were not enough. Strategy, adaptability, courage, and sheer stubbornness were their greatest weapons. The Eternal Blade drifted through the silent stars, carrying the knowledge of victory, and the knowledge that the architects would return, bigger and smarter. Captain Reyes clenched his fists. "Then we'll be ready. Every time they come, we'll adapt. Every time they strike, we'll survive. Humanity will not fail. Not now. Not ever. The first true clash had ended. But the war for survival was only beginning. The calm before the storm was a lie. Every sensor on Earth and every shuttle in orbit buzzed with tension. Humanity had survived the Architects' initial tests, their probes, and their command entities, but the final wave was coming. Bigger, smarter, and faster. Captain Reyes stood on the bridge of the Eternal Blade, staring at the void outside. His crew worked silently, ready for the fight that could determine the survival of their species. Mara, Garvey, and the rest of the team had become masters of improvisation, knowing that conventional strategies would fail. "They're coming," Mara said, pointing at a cluster of dark shapes emerging from beyond Jupiter's orbit. The final wave. Command estimates hundreds of units, command ships, scouts, and something larger, much larger. Reyes' jaw tightened. Good. Then we show them what humans can do when cornered. Earth Command was alive with activity. Fleets moved into defensive formations, orbital stations became artillery hubs, and decoy satellites scattered across the solar system. Humanity was ready to fight, not just for survival, but to demonstrate their ingenuity to the Architects. Admiral Kellen's voice came through the comms. "Reyes, all fleets are in position. Your team has the advantage of knowledge from your encounters. Use it wisely." Reyes nodded. "Understood, Admiral. We're not just defending, we're teaching them a lesson they won't forget." Outside, the Architects' forces entered the inner solar system. The void lit up with energy bursts, as drones and scouts tested Earth's defenses. Humanity responded with precision. Drones swarmed in unpredictable patterns, energy pulses scrambled Architect sensors, and decoy fleets drew the enemy into traps. Then the true horror appeared, the Architects' command entities. They were enormous, organic mechanical hybrids that bent space around them, distorting the very laws of physics. But humanity had a plan. "Target their propulsion fields and energy cores," Reyes ordered. "Not to destroy them, but to disrupt their coordination. Make them make mistakes." Drones sped forward, weaving through asteroid belts and orbital debris. Railguns fired from human ships, missiles detonated in calculated bursts, and energy nets formed invisible barriers that confused the alien senses. The Architects' command entities struggled to adapt. Their probes collided, signals crossed, and their formations broke apart. Mara's fingers flew across the console. "They're reacting poorly. Their calculations are off. They can't predict us." Reyes allowed himself a small smile. "That's the point. Humans are unpredictable. That's our greatest weapon." Earth's orbital stations fired in coordinated waves, creating illusions of fleets where none existed. The Architects' entities hesitated, uncertain. One entity tried to manipulate gravity around Mars, but the humans anticipated it, countering with artificial gravitational pulses. The entity faltered. "Captain," Garvey shouted, "we can push them back further if we coordinate a multi-vector assault." "Do it," Reyes said. "Divide their forces. Make them fight chaos." The human fleet split into smaller squads, each acting independently but in perfect sync. The Architects were forced to respond to multiple threats at once: probes, decoy drones, orbital weapons, and human ingenuity. One by one, the enemy units stumbled. A massive explosion lit up the void near Saturn. A command entity had miscalculated its approach and collided with a cluster of debris, causing a chain reaction. The remaining units hesitated, confused by the unpredictable human tactics. "Keep pushing," Reyes barked. "Never let them regain control." The battle reached its climax near Jupiter. Human ships executed impossible maneuvers, drawing the Architects into energy traps that overloaded their systems temporarily. Every move demonstrated adaptability, creativity, and the stubborn resilience of humanity. Finally, the Architects paused. Their command entities hovered, scanning, analyzing, but unable to find a clear advantage. The humans had survived, outsmarted, and resisted, something no species had done before. Reyes looked out into the void. They wanted to see how we adapt, how we survive. We've answered their test. We've shown them humans are not prey. We are hunters. We are survivors. Mara smiled. They won't underestimate us again. Earth Command confirmed. The remaining architect forces began to withdraw, pulling back beyond the outer planets. Humanity had won the battle, for now. But the message was clear. The architects were patient. They would return. Reyes turned to his crew. This is only the beginning. But humanity has done what no one thought possible. We've survived, adapted, and triumphed. And we'll do it again. Every time. No matter the odds. The eternal blade drifted through the silent stars, battered but alive. Outside, space seemed calm, almost peaceful, but everyone knew it was only temporary. Humanity had proven its worth, but the universe was vast, ancient, and full of tests yet to come. Rhea's voice echoed in the bridge, firm and resolute. Humans never give up. We fight. We adapt. And we survive. Let them come. We'll be ready. For the first time in generations, the stars themselves seemed to respect humanity's resolve. Because in the vast darkness of space, one truth remained: humans, against all odds, would always rise. The test was over. Humanity had passed. But the universe still had more trials in store. And humans would meet them head-on.